What's up, guys? Welcome back to Burn This Shit, the podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to go all in and connects them with the professionals that can help them do it. Today, our guest is Brian Pruett with Lake City Branding, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what he's learned with the industry. I'm your host, Kellie.
And I'm Jordin.
And we're glad to have you today, Brian.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Luckily, you didn't have to drive too far.
No.
Your office is like 5 minutes away.
Exactly. And the construction's finally done a little bit. So.
Yeah, on that bridge.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank goodness. That traffic was a pain.
Yeah.
It's taken them long enough, too.
Tax dollars good to go into waste.
There you go.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I grew up in this area. I was born in Ohio, but I grew up here in Kennesaw. Went to a private church school all the way through high school, and then I went to Kennesaw State. I actually have 2 degrees from there. I decided to do them in an 11-year span. The first one was a 95 with a communication degree. I always wanted to be a sports announcer, but my religion is Seventh-day Adventist, and if you don't know much about that, our Sabbath is sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. So there's not much that we do during that time, and sports is always high school and college is that time period, and you're not going to start at the big time on Sundays. So I needed to focus a little bit, and I always won the fundraisers in school, and so my dad said, why don't you go into sales? So I spent some time actually as a sports writer for a weekly newspaper that was run by the Mary Daily Journal. Out in Conyers, covered 33 schools by myself, but the nice thing was being weekly, I could do all my stuff on Sunday and have it ready for the next week, so I didn't have to worry about the Sabbath issue. But I was driving from Kennesaw to Conyers every day, and that was a long drive.
How long is that? I don't know how far that is.
It's about an hour and 20 minutes from Kennesaw, straight out 20.
No, sir.
So they also have a newspaper in Tucker called the DeKalb Neighbor. So I decided to apply and do sales year and just transferred in, started doing sales in 97 with them. But long story short, I just got in and doing, I love sports, I love the sales and marketing aspect of it, and I love fundraising. So I have about 27 years experience combined of all that. I've done everything from, I worked the Olympics, I was a press steward at the baseball venue in the 96 Olympics.
Oh.
The sports writer, I've also was sports information director for 2 seasons for Southern Polytechnic State University. And then got into sales, and I've sold everything from magazine ads, newspaper ads, to security system, to your door-to-door sales, which I don't recommend anybody do because it's really, really hard.
Not fun.
No. And then been involved in fundraising as well. I've done things for different charities around, from either doing trivia events to helping with their golf tournaments to things of that nature. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Okay. So before you did Lake City Branding, what were you doing? Or is that what you were doing up until then?
No, so up until May of this year, my business partner Stephen Norton and I owned a magazine called Northwest Georgia Rising Stars, where we covered all the high schools in Bartow and Gordon counties. It was an all-positive magazine where we did features on the kids. We did a little bit of reviews and previews of the seasons of the sports, but it was mostly feature stories on the kids and everything you don't get to hear about them. So, for instance, we wrote a story on a young lady who was a freshman at the time of Cass High School in White, and she was turning 14 that year, and she decided she didn't want birthday presents, so she wanted to everybody donate to Hickory Log, which is an assisted living home for special needs men, grown men there in White. For a 14-year-old to do that is pretty amazing. So we want to be able to that's the kind of things we did. Things you don't get to hear about on a normal basis. That's the kind of stuff we covered.
Yeah. That's cool.
So we did that we did it for about 2.5 years. Unfortunately, especially when the pandemic hit, it kind of helped. It didn't help with the sales for the ads. So a lot of people weren't spending money on advertising. So we finished up with the school season in May, shut it down, and then we started this Lake City Branding and Small Business Solutions June 1st of this year. Stephen, my business partner, also owns Star Printing and Publishing, which is right here in downtown Ackworth, which is a commercial printing company. They've been here since 1967. He's owned it for the last 6 years, but he's worked there since 1999. So.
Is it a family business or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he part of that family? Or
No. He and his dad and his brother bought it from the original owner. The original owner retired 6 years ago at the age of 87. Decided he was ready to retire at 87.
Yeah, it's about time.
He's
about
actually
20 years too late.
Right. He's actually since passed away, but Stephen and his dad and his brother decided to buy it from him and 6 years ago. So it still is a family-owned and operated business now. Stephen runs it primarily. So the reason we started working together was one of my many things I did was I was also bowling league coordinator at Bolero, which used to be called US Play. They were on Barrett Parkway. Mm-hmm. And Stephen would bowl in several of my bowling leagues. That's how we get acquainted. So a couple of years ago, he called me in his office and said, there's a way for us to make money. And we talked about the magazine, and I had wanted to do something similar to that on a newspaper side, but I couldn't afford to do printing. So he's like, you can't afford the printing. I can't afford to do this on my own. Let's partner. And that's how we became partners. Prior to that, I had started a business called Brand Fans, which a little similar to Lake City, although I was not doing the promo items. I was going to be, the basis behind it was a business agent for small businesses, where I've got a lot of connections with retired sports athletes, given to my sports background, things that I've done. And I would bring them into small businesses and let them, host, or not host, but endorse those businesses. Whereas somebody like Nike doing Tiger Woods, I could bring in like a Tony Delk, who lives here in Kennesaw, who played for the Hawks.
Oh.
That really never got off the ground, because as soon as I started it, the first thing I did was a golf tournament for a friend of mine's charity. And then right after that's when Steven and I decided to do the magazine. So Brand Fans went away, Northwest Georgia Rising Stars happened, and then when that decided we had to close it is when we started Lake City, like I said, in June.
All right.
So when was the point that you originally left, I don't want to say a corporate world, because it doesn't really sound like you were ever really involved in a corporate world, but when was the initial step for you to open up your own company?
So, not going into all detail, I was let go from a company, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, although I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided I wanted to do my own thing. When I tell people I get tired and burned out on sales, people don't understand that there is a difference from selling for yourself versus selling for somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
When you have a boss, you're always got that pressure as, bring your numbers up, how you doing this week, this, all kinds of different kinds of pressure.
That overhead.
Right. When you're doing it for yourself, it's a lot different pressure. Yeah, you still got to have an income, you still got to provide for your family, but you're the one putting the pressure on yourself, not somebody else.
Right.
So when that happened, it was probably a little over 3 years ago is when I decided that I'm going to do something on my own.
Yeah, that's what my, on a podcast, a guest that we had in here, he said something that I think everybody needs to know is you can do the 9 to 5, you can work for someone, that's fine, but you need to build something that nobody can take away from you.
Right.
Something
like
that is substantial for yourself. So if you do have a job loss, you have something to back you up.
Right.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've become an expert at, being an entrepreneur and starting your own businesses. Would you say that somebody is born with that, or is that something you can develop? And how did you develop it?
I think the sales aspect really helped me develop that. And I've learned a lot within the marketing for doing that as well. And then, a lot of people can be born with different things, but I think it's also a choice. If somebody wants to something bad enough and they can't get it otherwise, then go do it on your own. But you also need to surround yourself with people that will help you. So to answer your initial question, to me, it was kind of a combination of being good at sales. I'm a big people person. I love networking. And then the things that I learned over the years of what not to do from other business owners.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And then seeing also what works and what doesn't work. Like customer service is huge.
Oh, yeah.
The things that I learned from other business owners is that there was no customer service, and they also lied to their customers. And so, just learning that way is another way that I think helped me with starting my own business.
Yeah, you have to learn from other people, because
Right.
their mistakes don't need to be yours.
Right.
So, yeah, that's why we have these entrepreneurs come in here and talk about it, so that these future entrepreneurs that are our audience can learn from your failures and your success.
Right.
So that's really good. So how would you say that has impacted your, I guess, life and business, being an entrepreneur and learning from different things that other people have done?
Well, this may be a bad way to answer this, but I think it's a growing thing.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to start off financially. I'll be upfront and honest. I haven't had money in 3 years personally. I'm relying on my wife's job to pay the bills and stuff right now, which is
build your company.
Yeah, and you have to be patient. I'm not really a patient person, but when it comes to business, you really have to be patient when it's your own. I've had people tell me you need to do what you have to do to really make your business work, and that's true to an extent. But I also believe that if you have a family, you can't neglect them. You know, I've had people say, well, you should be up till midnight, or you should be doing this and that and the other. And I'm not one of those people that believes that you got to work 70, 80 hours a week. You know, I'm a big believer in faith that, you know, God will provide when he needs to. So, you know, for a while I was also hosting trivia in the evenings. So there was a lot of times I was gone most of the day and never at home. And my dad did that. My dad, growing up, worked 2, 3 jobs, so we hardly ever saw him. And he did that to provide for the family. But I do believe now, I'll be 50 in a couple weeks, and I think that it's something that to me is very important, is family, and I want to be home in the evenings to be with them.
Yeah.
So that's something that, to answer your question, I think the financial part is tough, but as you're building relationships and building that business, it will pay off in the end.
Yeah, I mean, the family part's huge. That's like my mom growing up. Her mom was always working, and so whenever she'd come home from school, her mom wouldn't be there. So my mom did the opposite and was a stay-at-home mom for the longest time because of that reason.
Right.
She wanted somebody to always be home whenever we came home from school, and she was. So I could never get away with sneaking friends into the house because she was always there. But it was nice to have a parent there whenever I got home.
Yeah, when I was growing up, we were called the latchkey kids because the parents were both working. You always came home, you were by yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's important that you prioritize that family and balancing business. So you just got this company started. Where do you see it going from here?
I would like to see this grow into us being more kind of like a local marketing agency, because we can do more than just your promo items or your mailers. You know, with Steven and I both combined, we have like 60 years of sales and marketing background between the two of us. You know, and I can go in and talk to business owners, help them with a plan for marketing. So I would like to see us do that, and eventually be able to use, like I said, with my athlete friends, endorse them. That's kind of like where I see this as your local marketing agency, because you've got the big ones in Atlanta, but they don't want to work. They won't work with the small guys, and there's not, you know, I don't think anybody doing that right now.
Yeah.
So that's where I'd like to see this go.
For sure.
Awesome.
I mean, if you weren't doing this, what do you think you'd be doing?
Always wanted to be, like I said earlier, a sports announcer. I would be working in the sports arena somewhere, whether it be marketing for a team, something, you know, traveling with them, doing some kind of job. That's where I would like to see myself. The other thing that I would really like to do at some point is be a full-time fundraiser. Just those kind of big passions of mine.
Yeah. So what kind of sport? Any sport, or do you have a favorite?
My favorite's football, but I think the easiest to work would be baseball.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
So,
why do you say that?
why do I say baseball is easier? It's not as fast-paced, when they're playing the game. It's a little easier to understand, I think, than football. Plus, I think there's a lot more opportunity because you have 32 Major League Baseball teams, all their minor league teams, and then going on down into college and high school, all the way down to T-ball. So there's a lot more opportunities in baseball than football.
That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've definitely been able to follow baseball better than football. I still have trouble watching football because I don't understand a lot of it. But I can watch baseball, no problem.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that don't like to watch baseball because it's too slow, but to me it's easier to comprehend.
I got some trivia for you. How many, y'all might know this already, how many active minutes are there during a baseball game on average of actual movement?
45.
18.
Wow, it's even less than I thought.
Yeah.
Tell me something I don't know.
That was a fact that I told them on one of our Monday morning meetings.
I love it. So tell our audience how they can find you. How can they get in touch with you?
So our website is lakecitybranding.com. You can go on there and see about Steven and I, and then our online catalog as well for our branding products as well. My email address is Brian, and that's BRIAN at lakecitybranding.com. If you want to call me at 678-755-0961, that goes right to my cell. We're right, like you said, we're right here in Ackworth.
Right over the railroad tracks downtown.
So we can, we do everything, a lot of stuff. I'm in Cartersville every week. Marietta, Kennesaw, Ackworth. We're members of the MBA, the ABA, and the KBA, so all the business associations in those cities. So we're around. But yeah, the easiest way would be going to our website. There's also a contact form on there too.
Awesome. So tell our audience one more time why they should burn their ship and go all in with developing their business.
I think it's the satisfaction and enjoyment of doing something your own. Yeah, it's going to be stressful at the beginning, but when you can see the fruits that you have produced from your efforts, it's very satisfying.
Yeah, we love it. All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us. We really appreciate you. And y'all, all you entrepreneurs that are getting your business started, you got to have some branding. So y'all hit up Brian and let him do some great work for you and your company.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for your time.
All right, bye, y'all.